Hello, everyone. My name is Marion with DTM Real Talk Channel. It's the channel that you can tune into, have the ability to listen to the thoughts of others about topics all over the world that touch every one of our lives. Everybody goes through basically the same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. So if you're going through, someone else has already been there. Maybe you can find hope. Maybe it's a pathway that can set you on the right road just by tuning in. So DTM Real Talk, just keeping it real. And if you like it, like us at the bottom, subscribe, and let us know just how we helped you. Just keeping it real. Nothing but love. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. This is DTM Real Talk, and we are just keeping it real today. Last week, we had Chestine on, and she shared her experience being a mother with children who were lost in the system while she was in prison, and her task of reconnecting with them. And today we have Jaylen, her nephew, who wants to share his story, and we're excited to hear about it. I'm curious. So Jaylen, say hi to the good folks out there.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Everybody must be fine. I'm turning my phone off because somebody always call me when it's time for me to talk. But anyway, so where are you?
I am living back home where I'm from, North Carolina. I'm in Charlotte right now.
Okay. And what
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
do?
So right now, I'm left my old job. I'm actually trying to lose weight right now to go to the military.
Awesome. My
Yes,
brother
ma'am.
actually had to lose weight to go to the military, and he had to lose a couple of pounds, and he hit it. I tell you, he hit it, and he
Oh
went
yeah,
back, and that was all she wrote. He's in the military. He's Army.
that's where I'm going. I actually just need to lose 2% more of body fat. I
Uh-huh.
already lost 15 pounds with Lynn
Yeah.
last month, so I just need to lose 15 more.
Okay.
And then I should be going on ahead next month or within the next few weeks to leave.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. We're
So
gonna cheer and say thank you, Lord, before time because it is. You got it.
yes.
Very good. Very good. So, are you married? Do you have any children?
I have one child. He is Jalen. He's a junior.
Uh-huh.
He's 2.5. Actually, he's about to turn 3 right in September. So he's
Okay.
turning 3 real soon. I have my girlfriend. She's here with me right now. Um,
Awesome. Hey,
but other
girlfriend.
than that,
Hi. I
but
was
other
gonna put you on blast like that, did you? Okay, well, awesome. Thank you so much for wanting to share your story. There's a lot of people out there that can benefit from it, I'm certain. I have not heard his story, y'all, so I'm gonna be just like you guys. So tell me, what about siblings? Do you have any siblings, Jaylen?
yes, when I was going through my problems, it was me and my sister, my oldest sister. She's 24 right now. She has
Uh-huh.
autism though.
Oh,
So
okay.
she's a little bit unstable now because of the all of what went on. Then I have a younger brother, but he hasn't went through the same problems I went through.
Okay.
Uh yeah, his like our dad is in jail and stuff like that, but he didn't have the problem of going to foster care or nothing like that.
I see.
So yeah.
So
So
let's back up a little bit. So your childhood. So at what age did you go where you sent to the foster care system?
so my story started off not really straight into the foster care system.
Okay.
I went through different group homes and all this other stuff in order that led me up to going into foster care. I started off at a group home in here
Hold on.
in North
Back up a
Carolina.
little. Let's back up for the good folks. So what your dad went to
hmm
jail. Was your mom? Were you home with your mom? Your
So
mom?
I was home with my mom and everything until about 8, well, maybe like 5. Then after that, my mom started getting into her mental health problems and
Okay.
everything. So my great grandparents started raising me, and they are they one of them passed away 10 years ago.
Sorry.
But them my great grandfather and my great grandmother's alive still, but they're older. They're older generation, and raised me till he passed away and everything. Then my grandmother, their daughter, raised me
Okay.
until my mom got back together. And right after middle school is when everything started going downhill. Right after 8th grade.
About 8th grade. So were
Mhm.
you getting in trouble, or how did you get to go to a group home?
Um, Honestly, when I was younger, I used to get in a lot of trouble. Not with the law, rather, but just being at home and getting into things I wasn't supposed to get into, fights, little
Huh?
stuff like that. But after after a while, it started becoming more and more of an issue as I kept getting more and older,
Okay.
more up there in age. When I hit 13, 14, I started getting up there in age and started doing a lot more things I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Okay. Okay. So were you sent to the and had you entered into the system during that time while you
So
were in
around
school?
around 13 and a half, I actually went into about when I started high school is
Uh-huh.
when I got evicted from my house um because of bills wasn't paid and all this other stuff with
So
my
you were living
mom's.
alone. You were living alone?
No, I was living with my mom at the time. So that right after middle school, I went back to my mom,
Uh-huh.
and so right after middle school, my grandparents thought it would be better for me to live with my parents.
Okay.
So I started living with my mom and everything. And by that time, I started actually realizing who my dad was and everything else. And at first, everything was going smoothly. Then I finally got in touch with my dad. We connected, and he came back into my life, my sister's life, my mom's.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, everything was going smooth. I didn't know how abusive everything was until I experienced it with drugs and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I started smoking weed right at 13 and a half.
Okay.
So me doing that, my dad doing what he was doing and everything else, it was kind of a rocky road.
Okay.
But from there, that's where everything kind of started going on with group homes.
Okay.
Uh,
So would you say that your dad introduced you to drugs, or did
not not really. He didn't tell me he didn't smoke with me or nothing like that. He actually didn't want me to use drugs.
uh-huh.
So what really happened was one of my very first girlfriends back in high school, uh, her brother introduced me to it, and ever since then I never stopped smoking. I
Okay.
just recently stopped smoking 5 months ago.
Okay. Well, good job. Yeah. Okay. Um, so you're in high school now, and or out of grade school, middle school, and then you're
Hmm.
in a group home.
So
Is that
yeah,
alternative school or something like that?
so after high school, I was living with my mom. Well, not after high school, but after junior high
Uh-huh.
and the entry of high school. So ninth grade. So my ninth grade year, I went through probably 3 months pretty good. And then after when we got evicted and everything, that's when it all started going downhill. It
Okay.
started off not straight into the group home,
Uh,
rather, it was more, I can give you the more story timeline of what elapsed of how I made it to the group home and then from there into foster care.
okay.
So just let me know what you want
Oh,
to.
you do your thing. You tell the story. This is your time.
Okay, so
Said you wanted to share your story, so this is your time.
okay, so
And you gotta stop jumping all over the place because your screen is moving
yeah,
back and forth. But go ahead.
okay, so at how you say, when I was 14, 13 and a half, I actually turned 14 because my birthday is in April. So
Oh,
I turned 14 and
April what?
April 8th.
April 8th. My son was born April 8th, and I'm April 4th. How about that? We're super, super close. Okay.
Amen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We got this. Go
We
ahead.
got this. So after I turned 14 and everything. We got evicted. We got evicted from our first, not our first apartment, but not the first apartment that I can remember as a teenager.
Okay.
So when we got evicted, we didn't have nowhere to go. So we stayed in a hotel room for like a day or two. Then from there, we went into a homeless shelter.
Okay.
So over here in Charlotte, where I'm from, at a young age, the men, the little boys can go into a homeless shelter with the women, with their moms and everything.
Right.
So with that being said, I was in the homeless shelter for a period of time. And with that being in homeless shelter, it was hard for me to go to school and everything like that. I couldn't really there was no bus route
Okay.
from the high school I went
Uh-huh.
to go all the way over there from the homeless shelter to high school and back, you know. So I kind of cut out going to school.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, I kept getting more and more trouble because I wasn't going to high school. I was hanging out with certain people I wasn't supposed to hang out. I started smoking way, way, way more. And from there, they called DSS, and DSS said, "Well, you guys need to figure out where he's going to go, where me and my sister's going to go, because you guys can't have kids not going to school, you
Right.
know." So, because it's against the law for the kids not to be able to go to school.
That's correct.
Right. So, like, my family's from New York, and I know in New York they have truant officers, but down here in South North Carolina and everything, we'll just have CPS come and take away the kids and everything. So instead, they say, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to just find a way to get him to school.
Mm-hmm.
So next thing you know, probably a month and a half being in a homeless shelter. My dad came back, and with my little brother's mom. My little brother wasn't born yet, but that was his mom.
Okay.
And they took up me all the way up to Gastonia, which from Gastonia, from where I was staying, is about an hour drive. So literally right when we pulled out the parking lot, me and my dad got in a huge fight and everything,
Mm-hmm.
saying how disrespectful I was and ungrateful that I have people helping me out. So me and him always had problems with each other, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what for, but when I was younger, I was kind of. Now that I'm a little bit older, I kind of understand like his perspective on being a little disobedient and
Uh-huh.
talking back and everything. So I understand, how some parents are more, you know, well, not more, but less talkative than others and more action.
Okay.
So it was more problems when I was acting up and not really doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Okay.
So literally right down the road, probably 5 minutes from the homeless shelter, and me and him got in a huge, huge fight. And he was like, "I'm sick of it. I can't do it no more. You're not helping out the situation. So we're taking you to a group home."
Okay. That's
So
right.
yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. So we went this whole hour all the way up to Gastonia, North Carolina. And first place I got dropped off is called the with friends. Yeah, it's called With Friends.
Mhm.
It's a group. What is it called? No, it's not a homeless shelter. It's a group home.
A group home.
It's a big group home. So with that group home, there's two different group homes here in North Carolina. There's
Mhm.
one that works with parents to get the parents more stable so they can get the kids back into their lives.
Okay.
Or there's a group home that works with CPS, and you have a time limit on coming to work on yourself and then come pick up your kids, or they automatically go into the CPS system.
Oh, okay.
So I went with my first group home is the one where I went with to get your parents back on track and work with them and everything else. But my dad dropped me off, and first thing he said right when he signed the papers to release me and everything was, I know you're not. I hope you know I'm not coming back. So that kind of changed my perspective a lot. I was only 14. Hearing your dad say that you just met and everything kind of hurt my feelings. So I was like, oh, okay. So you know what? Forget it. I cussed at him. I was like, go ahead, do your thing. So from there, I actually started going back to school, you know, because I started smoking and everything, that group home drug tests. And at that age, you have to take the drug test if you are experienced with any drugs or anything like that. So yeah, started taking more drug tests, stopped smoking for a while. Well, kind of. I can't really remember if I did smoke over there or not.
Okay.
But anyway, I was there at that group home for 6 months. I kept getting in trouble still at school because me having a whole bunch of at-home problems carried it on with me to going to school.
Right.
During that whole time, I was waking up at about 5 o'clock in the morning to drive all the way down to Charlotte, where I go to school, which is about almost an hour 30 minutes, because where my school is.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow.
Monday through Friday, every day.
Who drove you there?
So we had a transportation service called VC Limo
Okay.
down here in Charlotte that actually transported kids to school.
Gotcha.
So I took that all the way down there to Charlotte, and I actually got into I actually started skipping school and started smoking weed more. Started hating myself. Stopped hanging out with people. Simple things. So since then, I was like, you know what, bump it. I'm gonna just do my own thing, skip school and whatnot. And my mom was somewhat in the picture, but not really in the picture. I didn't get no visitation except from my grandparents who came and visit me.
Okay.
That was my only visitation I had. So it was really, really, really hard for.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was really hard for somebody at that age to experience any of that.
Right.
But so at that time,
14 years old, did you have any mistreatment or abuse in the group home at that time?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I have not. No, I have gotten a little arguments here and there.
Okay.
Because with the group home I stayed at, it was I was the longest person living at that group home for 6 whole months, like with no.
Wow.
Yeah, so really it was kind of awkward in that situation.
Right. Yeah.
So
So
it
from
was
the
like
group home to the foster care?
so that's another thing. So after I got in trouble so many times at this group home,
Gotcha.
they kicked me out. They discharged me into another group home, which was here down in Charlotte. And this is where my second group home comes in. It's called, I'm pretty sure everybody heard of it down here in North Carolina. It's called The Relatives.
Okay.
And they work with CPS. So I stayed there 2 weeks and a half. And next thing you know, CPS said, well, we're going to be taking your case. But the reason why they were taking their case is because my mom I didn't have no contact with my mom or dad or nothing like that. So I actually had to deal with that for a while. The reason why I got
all alone. You were
oh
basically.
yeah, I was going through all of this. I didn't know where my sister was. I didn't know where my mom was. Didn't really contact my dad too much. It's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh well, can't really do too much about it. Especially at a young age, didn't have no job, nothing. Just really trying to do my own thing is was too much going on,
Right.
and that was pretty bad. But the reason why I got kicked out of the group home is because the first group home, it was because of my stealing problem. I always had a stealing problem and a fighting problem,
Mm-hmm.
talking back and everything. I was very disrespectful to a lot of people.
Right.
So that kind of made me get terminated from that group home.
Right.
So I went to this other one. This other group home was pretty much laid back. Uh, they was going to really keep me until my parents came, but got in a I got in a huge fight with this other kid and pushed him down the stairs, and me and him was going back and forth and all this other stuff. So it was a lot. I got my stuff stolen over there.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, simple things that happens when you're around a whole bunch of boys. It's not
Mm-hmm.
really much you can do.
Okay.
So yeah, so all these kids and everything else I was with 2 weeks and a half, and eventually CPS came and said, okay, we're going to send you to a foster home.
Mm-hmm.
And we found a foster mom. I went to foster care to this woman I didn't even know. Her name was Miss Chandler. Now that I got
Yeah.
older, yeah, now that I got older, she was the older lady, but she was so nice, but I was so disrespectful, and I didn't really have that guidance that I needed to be,
Right.
more calm and actual open with things. I was
Right.
always bottled up and stuff like that, and that's where I started becoming more involved in more crimes and everything else. At
Jaylen,
that
let me
time.
stop you just for a moment. I'm listening to you, but I hear the humility and the transparency. It seems as though you have come to a place that you can own where you were. So
Oh yeah,
that's commendable. I want to just commend you for owning the disrespect, for owning the disobedience, for owning that. And now that you're at a place that you're grown up, not just in age, but obviously in character, where you're able to own that. So thank you for that, for
no
sharing that.
problem.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
But yeah, nobody really asked me what's what's your story, because I can tell them straight up. I've been through a lot. I mean, so I
Hmm.
might have not been through gang violence too much growing up at a young age, but stealing, breaking and entering, fights,
Hmm.
smoking, selling, all this stuff I'd been doing at a young age. But I mean, after you get me, it took me when I got a little bit older. But I'll tell you about it a little bit later, and after I go down the line of where I actually came from.
Okay.
But right now I'm going to my first foster home. I was about 15,
Hmm.
going about to turn 15, going to this foster home named Miss Chandler. Uh, I've been still there. I didn't graduate yet. I will not graduate, but get to 10th grade. So I'm still in ninth grade,
Hmm.
and took me about 2 months living with her to realize that I have some serious trouble. So with the what is it called? With the services I have, so with foster care, you have different services like or companies. See, well, I was with Access and some other companies. I can't really remember because it was so far ago,
Sure.
but they have different companies or agencies that your foster parents are with.
Okay.
And people think foster parents get a lot of money for these kids and everything else. It depends on the person, because this lady, Miss Chandler, she wasn't really, how you say, giving me some money, because with you being a foster care in DSS custody, the kid gets allowance and
Mm.
the foster mom gets money for them.
Okay.
But now that I think about it too, I was doing so much bad that literally I was damaging property left and right. Broken in my first school. at 15 and everything else. So I was doing crazy stuff at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
But so after 2 months, me staying with Miss Chandler, she
Uh-huh.
sent me to this treatment facility called day treatment. Which day treatment is like a 4 different levels. When I was growing up, it was 4 different levels.
Mm-hmm.
You got alternative school, boot camp. Level 3 was day treatment, which is a little bit more bad than boot camp.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, security wise and everything else, you have more therapists, you have more fights there, more gang violence. It's really horrible. And when you go into a level 3 facility,
Uh-huh.
and when you go to level 4, that's basically like uh juvenile detention, but for therapists. It's like a
Okay.
mental institute where
Okay.
you walk around, you go to school there, you eat there, you sleep there, and everything. This level 3, I just been there the whole school hours, but also from being in that school hours, I went back into going home. But the level 4 is different because you stay there 24/7,
Okay.
24 hours, 7 days a week, all for a X amount of time.
Okay.
But I've been at this day treatment facility, and man, it was a lot going on. Like I had to go in there, get searched every day for weed, whatever, and you had to take drug tests there. Then on top of that, you had to get uh therapy.
Uh-huh.
So I flunked ninth grade. This is about to go on the whole school year. I
Okay.
flunked out of ninth grade. Had to start over from scratch with this day treatment facility. And with this day treatment facility, it was the people there, the teachers there was real cool, laid back and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But the students, my comrades or whatever you want to say, what I was in school with, they were horrible.
They
Like
were horrible, right?
they were horrible. Like I know some of them to this day.
Oh Lord, excuse me.
Some of them are, some of them came up a long way too. Um, and some of them they're horrible. Some of them are dead too. To this,
Wow.
yeah. So they uh they are crazy. These kids were crazy, and they were funny, but they're crazy. Um, but anyway, I was there at that day treatment facility. This is my first foster home.
Okay.
Really wasn't being treated fairly to my other foster brothers I had because they wasn't in DSS custody. They still was in custody of the mother, and I felt like they was getting treated differently from what I was being treated as
Right.
being in the state. So with me being
At least they had
young,
somebody. You didn't have anybody.
no, I didn't.
Okay.
I talked to my mom every blue moon. Uh, talked to my grandmother every blue moon. My
Yeah.
cousin came up and everything else, but at that age, I wasn't really talking to anybody so much as really more my family wise. I was talking to strangers about
Yeah.
what I feel and everything else, which was kind of put me more of an isolation type. I was more isolated,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't really want to talk about my feelings or talk
Right.
to people what's going on with myself. So I was more just like a introvert. I became
Right.
more of an introvert, and I'm a real extroverted person, but I became more just to myself. If I stay to myself, I won't get in trouble. If I stay to
Yeah.
myself, I don't have to explain nothing. So
I
I'll
got
just rather do everything myself and don't worry about it. So that's my whole mentality going through there.
you.
Stayed
Mm-hmm.
in that facility for a year, and it took me a lot. They taught me a lot with anger, my problems,
Right.
and what I was facing, like how my depression, anxiety, my ADHD was working, and everything else. And by that time, I was on medicine. I was on what was it? At that time, it was on Adderall. So I was prescribed Adderall and everything to keep me focused.
Uh-huh.
And it was sucked when I got a little bit older but it was like I'm telling you, it was a big experience from when I was in that group home straight to foster care. I
Hmm.
didn't have to deal with a lot of people because in my foster home it was just me and my foster brother. But at the same time, working with this group home or PTRF or whatever day treatment facility is it's kind of different. It was different environment, different setting, different people,
Okay.
and everything like that. So I didn't really pretty much care for it. But on therapy aspect, because you have a lot of therapists there,
Right.
you
Right.
go in every day or every other day, you go in and talk to the therapist and everything and see how everything's doing. So stayed there and worked my way up into being discharged out of there.
Okay.
But during that time, me still being in that situation, I left my other foster home, Miss Chandler, and went to my other foster parents, which was Melvin Green and Sharon Green.
Okay.
And they was the best foster parents ever that I had.
Wow.
They actually helped me become better of myself to this day. I actually still remain in contact with them to
Very
this day.
good. Very
So
good.
literally, like to this day, we laugh and everything on how we was acting and everything. But before then, it was my depression and all this other stuff kicking my butt. Was like not letting me. It wasn't even letting me explain or how you say communicate
Yeah.
my feelings or my actions to anybody, and I didn't really have nobody to talk to about it.
Yeah. And you
So I
needed to
was
talk. Yeah. You needed to be able to
right,
express yourself.
especially at that age when you feel like you don't really need to talk to nobody,
Yeah.
and you say I can do it by myself, and I know I remember at that age it felt like I didn't you really need to talk to nobody, but when you get older, you like man, I could have really did
Could
use
have
a
really
little bit
used
more.
that conversation, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it would have helped. It would have helped. It would have felt like somebody was actually there understanding you,
Yes.
especially somebody that been through the same thing you was going through at
Sure.
that it was going to help. And that's the
Oh.
that's the thing that kids really need to understand. Like a lot of I was working at over here at a middle school, and this girl, I felt so sorry for her. Like her parents passed away and everything, but she was living with her grandmother, and I'm like, man, and she was treating her grandmother like she was taking her for granted. I'm like, man, you don't even
You
know.
saw, you saw yourself, huh? You saw
Yeah, I was like,
yourself.
you don't even know at that age. Like I said, in the next year, if you was in my shoes, the next year you would have been in foster care or in a group home where you didn't even know when you was going to see your parents again or
Right.
your loved one. I didn't know when I was going to see none of them
Right.
people again. So I was like, you need to be grateful and happy that you have somebody to take care of you, because literally in our state, our policy, you can the foster parents legally can give you a peanut butter jelly sandwich every meal of the day, and the DSS will say that is appropriate because as long as you're eating and you have food on your clothes on your back, that counts as being taken care of.
Really?
Yeah, so you don't need a full course meal. And
In,
that's the
in
thing.
North Carolina, huh?
Yeah, no, you don't need a full course meal. That you can get a.
Wow.
When I was growing up, you can get a peanut butter jelly sandwich, and you had to be grateful for that.
Wow.
So
Three times a day.
yeah, that's it. That's all you can get, and you can't complain none. They said you eating right. I was like, yeah, then you can't complain. If you wasn't eating nothing, then you can complain. But as far as I know, you're eating 3 meals a day. You have water, you have milk, or whatever else you eat drinking. And then you have clothes on your back, and you're going to school. That counts as living. And then now I'm not going to even worry about
Wow.
it. Yeah, so kids need to understand. Like
Woo! Well, I tell you,
it was rough. It
yeah,
was rough.
it was rough and you made it through. So I am thankful for you
Yeah.
actually sharing your story with us. And so let me say this. Let me ask you, what would you say? What advice before we get off? What advice would you give to? I see you thinking, you ready to roll. What advice would you give
to young people out there right now that have gone through what you've gone through, and they are at the age that you are, which is what?
23.
23. They're at 23, 25, and they've gone through similar to what you've gone through. What advice would you say to them? What would you tell them they need to do right now? What would you give them?
There's a few situations. If you don't have like for the ones who don't have any felonies on their record or anything like that, I would say make amends with yourself first. You got to really forgive yourself and everybody else around you before you can move on with yourself. Like it took me a long time in order to forgive or even talk about my situation of growing up. Right. So you have to kind of humble yourself and just be like, I forgive everybody. Then from there, I would say if you're still going through a rut in your life, don't really have nowhere to go and everything else like that, I would say go to the military. Only reason why is because once you go to the military, you got everything you need. Everybody thinks it's shooting and everything else, and it's really not. You work a 9 to 5, come home, you got food, you got 3 meals a day, you got somewhere to live. So if you don't have no felonies, for sure go into the military. And for the people who don't really have that option of going into the military or is something else going on, it's more of always use your resources to the best of your advantage, because they do offer a lot of resources to especially to people who was in DSS custody. Take advantage of a lot of your resources, like go get food stamps or get housing. They still have boarding room, people like that. I mean, there's a lot you can do, or find a stable job, like little jobs that are something that help you out, or find a hobby. Just keep it everything positive. If you don't keep nothing positive in your life, it's not gonna work out too good.
Thank you so much. Y'all heard Jaylen. So he's just telling you, first you got to forgive yourself, do something positive, use your resources, get a job, talk to somebody. Jaylen said it's okay to not be okay. It's okay. And it's okay to have therapy. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to own your feelings. It's okay to own your errors, to cite your feelings and own your errors. Isn't that cool? Well, we are coming to the end, and thank you once again, Jaylen. And
yes, ma'am.
DTM Real Talk, and we just did what? Keeping it real. We'll see you next week.
You have a nice one.
Thanks for watching DTM Real Talk. Be sure to join us for more conversation. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe while you're there.